What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to do something a little different than I normally do. So, we've got sort of a video podcast style episode today. We're doing a new series I'm calling Cast and Loose or Fast and Loose. Going to be a real informal discussion about really anything we want to talk about, but today it's going to be about fishing. So, we're going to talk our week in fishing. Today, I've got Johnny K with me. His channel is Fishing with the K's. If you don't know his channel and you're here without knowing it, I would definitely recommend you go check it out. I'll put a link down in the description. But Johnny, why don't you, if someone hasn't seen your channel before, why don't you introduce them to it?
Hey, thanks, Alex. It feels weird to be on this other end, to be on a guest on a YouTube channel. So I appreciate you having me on. But yeah, for those who don't know me, it's Johnny K. I have a fishing YouTube channel called Fishing with the K's. Yes, I know it's a real original there, but I mainly fish around Middle Tennessee. So those include like Percy Priest, Old Hickory, Cordell Hole, Cumberland River, stuff like that. And so I will every once in a while venture out of the state. Went down to Pickwick not too long ago, and sometimes we'll fish Dale Hollow. And Alex, I think you fished some of those areas, but I don't think we fished them together. And so maybe that's one of the things that we can bring to the channel is, I fish those places with my brother, and be interesting to see how it is fishing those places with you. And then just one last plug, if you go to the channel, I did do a bunch of creek fishing videos early on, and I know that's something that you did, Alex, and that's something that we still need to do before it gets code. But again, thank you for having me on. Again, the channel's name is Fishing with the Case, and I'm sure Alex will link it into the description.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're Johnny and I talk a lot about fishing in our area. We talk about fishing in general. We talk about our channels, and I think we've got some good plans in the works to grow our channels, to offer some good content. So I think no matter where you are in the country, we've got something interesting for you. So that being said, Johnny, let's talk about your week in fishing last week. Tell me what you did, where you went, whatever else you want to talk about.
Man, I almost sold my bass boat after my fishing trip down at Old Hickory. I don't normally
Uh-oh.
fish it a lot, but it's summertime here in Middle Tennessee, and I think most can feel the pain that we're going through with the fishing being a little tough. Alex, it's real interesting. I feel like most time when I go places, I have like notions of like, all right, I'm gonna crank them, we're gonna catch them on a drop shot, and so it's real interesting fishing Old Hickory, launching out of Bulls Creek. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had a top water tied on. I had a swim jig, drop shot, crankbait. So just tried to, cover the different water columns and try to use different colors. I didn't know what the water clarity was like. And so we only had 4 hours to fish. I wanted to focus on one little creek. And, what's really neat about that creek is, there was docks, there was grass, there was rocks. And so I felt like I had a lot of options, and I felt like I should have caught him. It was windy, and thought I can catch him on a moving bait, and I must have been just going too fast and wasn't able to connect any. But what is really neat, Alex, is we're able to see some hybrid white bass blowing up. I think in one of your videos, you kind of run across that, right, in some of the lakes that you fish, where you see just the fish rolling hitting on top water.
Oh yeah, it's one of the best things about from now. It feels like they start different depending on where you are in the country or in the state or whatever, but pretty much from spring until you get towards winter, that's one of the most fun things I feel like is just seeing them blow up.
Yeah, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like when they're blowing up like that, you almost feel like you need to throw a top water, but I almost feel like you can just cast anything in there and those fish will bite it. Do you agree?
It, I do agree to an extent. As far as throwing anything in there, I have seen times where if you throw something like a bottom bait, that it's just going to sink straight through them. I don't know if it's as effective. They may still bite it sometimes if they're just on a total reaction bite, but if they're really focused, like we're approaching fall now, so
Yeah.
once when they're focusing more on the bait fish alone and less on other forage, I feel like it's better to throw a topwater, a crankbait, a lipless, a fluke, something like that.
Yeah. So like throwing a half-ounce football jig probably wouldn't be as effective as like throwing a rattle trap or like
I
a D26,
That's my experience. Yeah. I'm not. That's not what I'm going to reach for. First of all, I'm
Yeah.
not going to reach for my worm when they're blowing up. But yeah, that's cool. I'm glad you guys got to see that. So I guess one of the things we haven't really talked about a whole lot. We've done some challenge and small tournament videos on both of our channels with some of the guys we fish with, but almost every time we go out with those guys, we do some sort of little competition, which just makes it fun. So, you
Yeah.
got any thoughts about that? What makes you enjoy that?
Well, I think it makes you fish outside your comfort zone, and a lot of times that makes you a better fisherman. Because I think it's easy to just throw the same lures over and over, and when you have a box of a bunch of different lures and colors, then it's easy to just rotate those baits. But if you really try to focus on just a few lures, because I almost feel like if you could find a fish, you can get the bite, right? And I feel like finding fish is more important than having the right lure. So that, and like I said, it's just kind of fun to kind of challenge yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And a little competition is fun too. That just increases the stakes just a little bit, right? Which makes you think more, at least for me personally. But any other fishing from last week? Anything else you want to talk about from this past week?
No, and I think we'll get into this a little bit later, but I want to get some redemption on that creek, and so I challenge you all to kind of go back to that creek, and interested to kind of talk to the viewers about what we got going on this
Yeah,
upcoming weekend.
yeah, absolutely. So I'll jump into my last week of fishing. Early in the week, I got to go on a scouting mission with Tyler Parsons, who he's a Stripe Life 615 on Instagram. I would encourage you guys to go follow him there. He also does have a YouTube channel. I'll plug it in the description, but he's a year-round striper and hybrid guide in Middle Tennessee. It's an awesome dude. I've kind of made friends with him in the past, few months or so since I went fishing with him for the first time. But he put me on some stripe. I'll put some pictures up of those. Just really scouting. He just invited me, which is just super generous of him. So that is such a blast. We're working on some content for him as he's moving to be a full-time guide here in the future soon. So I'll be working with him on making some content there to try to promote him a little bit. But would definitely encourage you guys, if you've never done anything like that, hit him up, book a trip. It is a phenomenal experience. So other than that, I went down to Gunnersville this weekend and fished my fishing club is still in Alabama. So I fished our club old man tournament. So the last video on my channel was an old man tournament of sorts, but this is the old man tournament. So
Interesting.
it's a non-points event for the club. It's just for fun. And a lot of guys, if they don't fish a whole lot during the year, they'll make time for this one just because it's such a fun deal. The old guys fish versus the young guys. And unfortunately, spoiler alert, the old guys took it this year. So they're now even with us. But what's funny to me is besides the fishing part of it, the old guys are who the young guys used to be. So they built up their record through the years of wins.
Yeah.
And now that they're the old guys, they're getting back at themselves, which is kind of a funny thing. But, I caught some fish on that trip at Gunnersville, caught a couple on a shallow crankbait, like a really shallow crankbait. The only keeper we caught, my boat caught, it's a team tournament. So the only keeper my boat caught was on a Texas rig, flipping some docks, which was cool. It's always fun to catch them in the grass, flipping a crawl. That's one of the things you go to Gunnersville to do is fish that grass. But we had some guys weigh in some big bags. I mean, 17, 18 pounds is pretty good for Gunnersville this time of year. You can Bradley Hallman freak show it out there sometimes, but 17, 18 pounds is good for our club this time of year. So that was pretty much my weekend of fishing. Johnny, anything else you want to talk about? Any plans for the coming weekend or?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk. You talking about throwing a crawl in the grass. Were you punching them, or using like a lighter weight,
I
like
was really
half ounce there?
just lightly pitching almost. It wasn't I was not punching matted grass. It was all submergent below the water. So I was really flipping and pitching shaded areas that were on the edges.
Gotcha. That's neat. That's one of the bites I need to get back on. I've fished Gunnersville maybe 2 or 3 times and haven't had much luck there, but it's not too far from the house. And so maybe one of these days we can take off work and fish during the week where it's not so busy. So
It's a great idea. It's an awesome place.
yeah. But just real quick, I want to go ahead and tease you all for this weekend's fishing challenge. Again, I'm just going to fish with Mike, Alex, and my brother, and we're going to just fish one creek. We're going to fish for 4 hours again, but this time we're going to just stay in that creek. And so, Alex, I'm not sure how you feel, but I kind of want to say like y'all fish the right side and we fish the left side for 2 hours, and then we swap. Or we can divide the creek in half. Y'all fish the back half of the creek first, and I fish the front half, and then we swap. And so, just real quick, what's your initial thoughts on that? You think we should do a side deal, or you think we should do front and back?
I like splitting it down the side,
Yeah.
honestly, because I feel like you're able to fish. I don't know. I mean, I could go for either way. They both seem interesting, but looking at the map and where we're planning on fishing, I was really interested on fishing the right side early and fishing the left side a little bit later. So
Is
I
that because
think
with the sun coming up or whatnot? You already
it's
think
part
it's a
of it,
factor
but
there?
it's also a depth thing. It's also, we've already had some, I don't know about the weather up there. It can't be too different from where I'm at, but we've already had some cool nights coming in and that fall transition is already starting. So even though we've still got days in the upper 80s, those cool nights really accelerate that fall transition. So they'll be keying in more on bait. And I feel like they may be moving up more shallow, more towards the back of the creek. So being able to fish anywhere on the creek on one side seems very interesting to me.
Yeah, well, maybe that's what we'll have to do. So you think you're going to start off with like a weightless fluke, or you think you're going to start off with a hard weight?
Good question. Been thinking about it all day, but I'll
Yeah.
probably start out with either a fluke or maybe a horny toad, a toad style bait, depending on what cover is present. I've looked at the Google Earth images, but once you get out there, you can really read the situation. So, but definitely we'll start out with some close to the surface bait. What about you?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I've been trying to get on a top water bite, and I feel like now's the time to do it and get my confidence going. And so I'm gonna try a few different top waters and kind of go from there. And so really excited about this weekend's fishing trip. And for those that are, I'm not sure when you plan on getting the video out, but I think it'd be interesting to see for people to comment down below, right, in this video, and say, where they think the fish are going to be caught and why, and what lures we should be choosing, and maybe kind of go ahead and say, hey, I got team fishing with the K's, or you're going to go with Alex and Mike. And so it'd be interesting to hear folks'
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah, if you're watching this, share your feedback. Let us know if we're stupid for what we're choosing right now. Let us know what we should be doing. Take your vote on who might win. I know that we're kind of splitting teams up a little bit. I mean, Mike has been kicking our butts last few weeks, and now I'm joining him, and you're joining with Arrow. So it should be
See,
interesting.
that's going to be part of my plan. You got to go figure out what he does, and that way we can get him next time.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. Get planting a spy behind enemy lines. I like it. I like it. Awesome. Well, this has been really fun, man. I'm gonna wrap us up. Well, like I said, a little bit different video. Excuse me. Living different video for my channel, but just a blast to talk to you, to have you on my channel. I've been on your channel many times, and I think we're going to continue to do this back and forth. I'm going to try to make this a weekly series, so I'll bring other people on. We'll have a couple people on sometimes, but I think it's going to be really interesting. So hey, if you guys aren't subscribed to my channel, I know many of you are not, but especially if you're not subscribed to Johnny, I think we both have some good stuff coming up. So hit that subscribe button, engage with us, let us know what you think. And on that note, Johnny, anything else?
No, looking forward to the weekend. Hopefully the weather is better than it was last weekend.
Awesome. I agree. All right, man. We're going to close this video out. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.